Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'll be interviewing a psychologist. Please remember to subscribe, like, and make a comment. Hello, Emilia Poron.
Hello, Nasir.
How are you?
I am doing good, thanks for asking. How about you?
I am doing well indeed. How was your week been?
My week has been busy preparing myself for today's presentation, helping my kids with their homework, and I took them for some activities with their friends. How about yours?
I have been busy writing scripts, producing music, spending time with my family, and preparing today's interview.
Wonderful.
Before we get going, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
I did an 8-year doctoral program course at the University of Toronto. It included theory and practical to get some experience. However, Nasir, it was challenging but rewarding because I was accepted a job. Furthermore, I found this position a perfect match for my experience, passion, and career.
Wow, congratulations. Okay, go ahead with your presentation. I am excited to hear what topic you have decided to do.
My topic will demonstrate how eating disorders evolved from religious practices to becoming a complicated psychological condition. Eating disorders are defined as persistent disturbance of eating or eating-related behavior that results in the altered consumption or absorption of food that significantly impairs health or psychosocial functioning. Disordered eating usually develops because of a combination of psychological, genetic, and social factors. This topic will also demonstrate the historical racial and ethnic stereotyping in the recognition and referral of eating disorders. I will explore the multifaceted impact of anorexia nervosa, delving into its physical, mental, and emotional consequences, while also examining potential causes and broader societal influences. Anorexia nervosa is classified as a biopsychosocial disease that started in 1873 by a French fasting girl called Jane Ballon. She claimed to have gone 3 years without eating or drinking. Just like a story in a fairy tale, there were people who believed that she received her wicked power when she was given an apple from an old woman who was secretly a witch in disguise. The word anorexia originates from a Greek language that means without appetite. Initial publications on this eating disorder were titled Anorexia hysterica. The first formal description and diagnosis of anorexia as a medical condition occurred in England during the 1680s. Historical documents show that Dr. Richard Morton of London described his 20-year-old patient in 1686 as a skeleton clad with skin. In his work, he suggested that her sadness literally aged. Thin bodies, however, had not always been so deemed more worthy. Throughout earlier periods of human history, fuller bodies were aspirational and represented wealth and wellness. The paintings of Peter Paul Rubens, who lived from 1577 until 1640, depict full sensuous female bodies. However, the following year the condition was referred to as anorexia nervosa by Queen Victoria's personal physician called Sir William Gull in a significant medical presentation. Self-starvation appeared in the Hellenistic era, and it continued into the medieval period. Holy anorexics abused their bodies, rejected marriage, and sought religious asylum where many perished and became saints. Self-starvation was considered an exercise in spiritual purity and could be explained by a person's holiness. Wealthy Roman women of the post-pagan Christian era acting under spiritual direction starved themselves in order to depreciate the body, which was considered evil. Rudolf Bell also discussed about religious European women of the Renaissance period, who punished their bodies by fasting to reach a higher plan of spirituality and closeness to God. Holy anorexia was respected by the medieval society as a sound method for cleansing a woman's spirit. In addition, these pious women were elevated to sainthood for their extreme fasting and devotion to the church. During this era, the beliefs about fasting began to move from spiritual to medical. At that time, anorexia nervosa was described as a condition emerging from emotional or mental stress. It included many of the same facial signs of modern anorexia such as eczema, xerosis, follicular, hyperkeratosis, acne, pruritus, and facial dermatitis. Anorexia nervosa can be adequately understood in the framework of culture that found disorders. A study carried out in 2000 that clearly indicated a correlation between culture, ethnicity, and the eating disorders. It has been shown that majority of those who suffer from this disorder are from the Western cultures, mainly Caucasians. Among the Japanese, women who are overweight are not construed to be beautiful. This significantly affects their eating habits, and they are preoccupied in reducing their weight in order to maintain what is perceived as the ideal body image. Historically, eating disorders have been stereotyped as a condition experienced by thin white women, as most of the initial data came from the upper middle class patients, because they had the money to afford treatment. However, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that often stem from complex and predisposing factors. For example, white men have higher numbers of privileges throughout the history of the United States. During the slave trade period, colonists and race scientists asserted that black people had greater appetites for food and sex. They were described as gluttonous and therefore less virtuous in a culture in which the Protestant value of moderation predominated. Because of systemic racism, black, indigenous, and people of color had marginalized groups who have some eating disorder which are less likely to be diagnosed with one, and are often hesitant to seek treatment. We live in a culture that values certain bodies more than others. This can result from the stigma received just for being a black person, or due to institutionalized racism resulting in poverty and food insecurity. Historically, people of color have been fighting for equality and inclusion, as people evaluate their own bodies against others. People also try to struggle for higher places in the social hierarchy. Thus women, BIPOC, and other marginalized groups might try a myriad of diets, attach themselves to men with privilege, or try to lighten their skin in the attempt to be seen as more valuable. Over time, as more mixed-race people came into being, the dominant white group used thinness as well as whiteness in order to continue to assert their dominance. Furthermore, Sabrina String, sociologist, mentioned that phobia originated as anti-blackness. This racial discrimination factor has caused unfair treatments among people of color. Black teenagers are 50% more likely than white teenagers to exhibit binging and purging behaviors. Researchers suggest that clinicians need to be aware of their own biases and stereotypes regarding racial differences in order not to overlook eating disturbances in minority populations. In addition to the unique social factors that contributes to eating disorders in black women, they also have unique social barriers to receiving an eating disorder diagnosis and treatment. Through research, there is no exact reason what causes anorexia nervosa and other eating disorders. This can be defined as illnesses in which the victim suffers severe disturbances in their eating behaviors. People with anorexia nervosa see themselves as being overweight when their weight is actually normal. Thus, they resort to severe food restrictions, so they do not receive the right amount of calories that they need. On the other hand, they look for methods to get rid of the food by various purging methods like self-induced vomiting, misuse of laxatives, diuretics, compulsive and excessive exercise. Adolescent is a time of significant sexual development. Individuals in this age range start to care about attracting their preferred gender. During this time, puberty is in full effect, which can increase the amount of time someone spends thinking about their body as they adjust to these changes. Anorexia nervosa was viewed as an exclusive female disorder. However, in recent years, psychiatrists have begun to see changes as men have increasingly developed eating disorders, possibly related to growing social pressures, which makes them want to diet, and it can then lead to eating disorders. In this century alone, the awareness of anorexia nervosa has increased substantially. Eating disorder treatment now encompasses a logistic model that addresses multiple approaches such as medical, psychological, nutritional, and counseling therapy. It is also important for anorexic people to understand and have awareness that diet does not necessarily mean losing weight to look different, but refers to the total amounts of food consumed by individuals, whereas nutrition is the process of utilizing food for growth, metabolism, and the repair of tissues. In conclusion, it has been demonstrated that through research and the account of clinicians, their understanding of anorexia nervosa is a complex psychiatric condition that improved. Cultural beliefs about bodies and appearance has been shown to influence rates of anorexia significantly. This topic has also shown that health professionals now acknowledge the role of genetic, environmental, psychological, social and individual factors in the development and experience of anorexia nervosa.
You have done very well by explaining the history, science, and how it is in this modern period. Thank you for your time for coming.
Pleasure. Thank you, Nasir, for your time. I sincerely appreciate your attention today.
You're very welcome.